Welcome back. I'm with Jim Hughson in Toronto, and if you're wondering what happened to Rocky Balboa's old robes, you can see one draped in behind Al Strachan and John Davidson in Philadelphia. Al, you're hot on the Gretzky to St. Louis trade possibility. Here's what Sam McMaster has had to say in response to all the stuff in your Sun today. He says, I have had no conversation with any team about any trade for Wayne Gretzky this year. This is McMaster quoted last night. He also went on to say, I understand that Wayne is a national treasure in Canada, but we are not shopping the jewel of the Kings franchise at the moment.
He's right on all those points. They are not shopping him. However, he is going to ask to be traded, and he will go. And he has not had any discussions, no, but the people above him certainly have had a lot of discussions, and that's what's going on. The upper echelon of the St. Louis Blues been talking to the upper echelon of the Los Angeles Kings, much further up than Sam. And the Gretzky part is pretty well set. All that they have to negotiate now is who goes with him. They want to get Marty McSorley in St. Louis, and if failing that, they would gladly accept Tony Granato or Rick Tocchet. And then who goes back in return. But the deal as far as the Kings sending Gretzky there is pretty well done. He'll earn $9 million US a year for 2 years if he goes, as long as the other guys can be worked out. I would say it's 90% done.
Al, what about the idea, though, next week there's a meeting scheduled early in the week in Los Angeles with the management, the ownership, not management, ownership of the Kings, along with Michael Barnett, the agent for Wayne, plus Wayne. Is that just a formality, or is that going to set maybe a new course here, or chart a new course?
Yeah, they have to work out how it's going to be done. It's very important to the Los Angeles Kings that, as Sam says, they not be seen to be shopping this guy around. It's important that when it all comes out, Gretzky is the one who says, yes, I was the one who asked for this trade. The Kings tried to keep me, etc., because they have to sell some tickets. The Kings then have to make the smart marketing move and say, we're bringing in all these kids. We're going to keep Robbie Blake. We're going to keep Yakmanev. We got a kid by the name of Pavel Rosa in the juniors, another good kid. And we're going to build around that with all these youngsters we're getting, so be happy. We've got 2 young goaltenders in Defoe and Storr. This is the nucleus of a team here, and even the L.A. fans know that this team's going to hold.
But what if L.A. ownership say to Wayne, listen, we've talked about business here in the last few days. Now we're meeting here face-to-face. We're going to give you the same type of contract that St. Louis says they can give you, and here's our rebuilding plan. We're going to go after 4 free agents right now. We're going to start rebuilding this team. We think it'll be good within a year, 2 years, whatever they want to say. Will that change the whole way of thinking here, and Wayne then stay in Los Angeles?
Yeah, that's the other 10%. The other 90% is done. That could happen. It's not very likely, but they made that same promise to Wayne in the summer. Now the question is, does Wayne believe them? Because they said that in the summer we're going to do it, and they didn't do it.
From the St. Louis point of view, you have to remember this. With the football team now, the Rams are back in St. Louis. They've taken $100 million out of the marketplace there. They've got Tony La Russa coming in to run their baseball team. So the Blues are now in a real competitive marketplace. They got to do something in that respect. The other thing, too, is what about Brett Hull? I understand that his contract, when they're negotiating or renegotiating it right now, but it'll be open for a new one if Gretzky goes there. And like the management said, Maris and Mantle of the Yankees at one time, now Gretzky and Hull.
With the same agent, not coincidentally either, because Barnett, who is the agent, wants them both to be together because they'll supplement each other, or complement each other rather, and work together, and so they can both make more money. But the feeling is the Kiel Center has at least 3,000 empty seats every game, 3rd highest ticket price in the league, and they're going to make $1 million a night every extra night of the playoffs. You can pay off Gretzky's contract in a hurry that way.
Well, that's why that's why I think they need to do it now, and they need to get it going pretty soon so that they've got, 19 home games left this season that they can start to recoup some of the money before they go into playoffs and fill that building. What about at the other end? Does Los Angeles have to come up with some sort of marquee name in this whole thing in order to sell? I mean, they don't fill the place now with Wayne Gretzky, and they've got the marketing geniuses across the way in Anaheim. Do they risk having crowds of 8,000 and 10,000 for the next couple of years until they have a decent team again if they don't get somebody of marquee value back in there for Wayne? And why would Wayne pick
Pronger? That's what I'm thinking.
But that's not much of a marquee name, really.
Not in Los Angeles, it certainly isn't.
But the money is there. The Anschutz Corporation says the money is there. They told Wayne that before, and they apparently have told Sam McMaster that, to go out and buy some free agents this summer. You can probably buy another marquee name. I agree you need a marquee name in Los Angeles.
Why does Wayne think that he can win a Stanley Cup in St. Louis? That's what's got me mystified. You got a 500 hockey club he's going to when there are teams like New York, Detroit, as it seemed to me, more legitimate contenders, Al.
Or what if another team gets into the hunt here all of a sudden and say, oh, well, St. Louis is all of a sudden starting to to become involved. What about us here, whether it be Detroit or Philadelphia or New York or Toronto, or anybody?
The big problem with Toronto is the Canadian dollar. Toronto would be very interested. He'd sit there, and of course he'd love to play there.
I don't think that's, Al, I would disagree. I don't think that's a fit at all, and here's why. Toronto knows its revenue over the next few years. It has a TV deal done for the next few years. Its building is full every night. So where are they going to recoup some of the money? They're just going to add a whole bunch to their payroll. They don't need to get any more fans. They can't fit any more in.
Well, that's the thing, Jimmy. See, you're talking about economics. I'm talking about hockey. That's the difference.
Yeah.
He fits hockey-wise, maybe not economically.
They're tied together like that. We know that, don't we?
What do you think of the trade? Cujo and Ranford Key in that deal. How do you see it, fellas?
Well, it's nice to see Glenn coming up with some American money finally. What's that, the first time he's ever paid a contract in American funds up in Canada? I think it's interesting. I think Boston certainly had to get this done. It's a lot of potential, though, when you talk about the Oilers.
I think Glenn lost on 3 fronts. He tried to get Cal McLaren, couldn't get him, so he got Boston's other draft pick last year, who was a lot lower, Sean Brown. He tried to get either Donato or Stumple or McEachern, didn't get those, ended up with Mariusz Czerkowski, who is a floater. He tried to get his first-round draft pick last year that belongs to Hartford, instead ended up with the one that belongs to Boston. They're still both first. But in all 3 of those areas, say they're ended up with the wrong end of the stick.
I think it's from the Boston side of it, in the toughest conference, in a playoff battle that's going to go right down to the wire. Bill Ranford might make the difference. They had to make that deal, and they did. At the other end, it's another team in Alberta that's dealt for future considerations, and we don't know what their future is.
20 seconds, JD, to tell us about Peter Sikora.
In the Northeast, not many coaches happy about Boston getting Ranford, by the way. Peter Sikora is a rookie, the best centerman the Devils have right now, their hottest scorer and playmaker. He's been playing without a contract registered with the league, and there's a lot of rumblings around amongst other teams saying, how can that happen? A rookie, I understand he's making over the cap, and his contract's not registered, yet he still plays. So I think you'll hear about that in the next few days.
We got to get rid of Al Strachan's Dalmatians here because there's a Cujo waiting to come on the show. Gentlemen, thanks all.
Cows.
Oh, cows.
His story.
Well, it's time to move.
After 40 minutes. Brought to you by Owens Corning Canada, manufacturers of fiberglass pink insulation.